Good day, everyone. This is Miss Cañete, and I will be discussing Halamang Gamot for the Skills Laboratory on Community Health Nursing 1. Herbal medicine in traditional practice is an important resource which can be mobilized for the attainment of the common goal, which is health for all. These herbal medicines have contributed significantly to man's struggle against diseases and maintenance of health. In recent years, interest in the use of herbal preparations has increased. Herbal medicines are used in most countries in the region, either within the government's healthcare system or in communities and even private practices. This growing interest and the increased consumption of herbal preparations as herbal medicines have also raised considerations about the need for regulation. That's why on December 8 to 12 in 1997, a working group on herbal medicines met in Manila, Philippines. The main objective of that meeting was to develop guidelines for the appropriate use of herbal medicines for interested countries in the Southeast Asian region, which would assist in the development of national policies and programs on herbal medicines. That meeting was attended by 17 temporary advisors, 2 consultants, 2 secretariat staff from the WHO Regional Office for the Western Pacific, and 3 observers. That working group developed the guidelines for the appropriate use of herbal medicines, and a summary of the principal conclusions and recommendations were submitted after that meeting. While the working group was finalizing its recommendations and guidelines at that time, no, between December 8 to 12 in 1997, the Traditional and Alternative Medicine Act, no, or the Republic Act 8423, was enacted by the Senate and the assembled House of Representatives of the Philippines in Congress in December 9, 1997. So, Republic Act 8423, otherwise known as TAMA, or the Traditional and Alternative Medicine Act of 1997, is an act to create PTAC. Now, what is PTAC? PTAC is the Philippine Institute of Traditional and Alternative Healthcare. No, and its aim is to accelerate the development of traditional and alternative healthcare in the Philippines, providing for a traditional, no, and alternative healthcare development fund and for other purposes. The institute, no, PTAC as an institute, conducts certification of traditional and complementary medicine practices like acupuncture, chiropractic, naturopathy, helot practitioner. PTAC is also a research institute for traditional and complementary medicine. According to TAMA 1997, it is hereby declared as the policy of the state to improve the quality and delivery of healthcare services to the Filipino people through the development of traditional and alternative healthcare and its integration into the national healthcare delivery system. It shall also be the policy of the state to seek a legally workable basis by which indigenous groups or societies would own their knowledge of traditional medicine. Kasi di ba, there are groups in the Philippines, no, who had passed on from one generation to another a certain form of treatment or healing modality. No? Now with such, with TAMA, no, it seeks to protect these indigenous societies. And when the knowledge of these indigenous societies is used by outsiders, it can require the permitted users to acknowledge its source and can demand a share of any financial return that may come from its authorized commercial use. So it is PTAC that makes sure these groups are protected. Now, the objectives of TAMA 1997 is to encourage scientific research, no, on the development of traditional and alternative healthcare systems that, of course, have direct impact on public healthcare. It also seeks to promote and advocate the use, no, of these traditional, alternative, preventive, and curative healthcare modalities that are, of course, proven to be safe, effective, cost effective, and consistent with the government standards on medical practice. It also seeks to develop and coordinate skills training courses, no, for various forms of traditional and alternative healthcare modalities. Kaya nga sila rin yung nagsicertify, no, of certain practice, alternative practice, healthcare practice. Okay, another objective is to formulate standards, guidelines, and codes of ethical practice appropriate for the practice of traditional and alternative healthcare. It also includes these guidelines and codes of ethical practice in the manufacturing, no? And also quality control and marketing of different traditional and alternative healthcare materials. It also seeks to formulate policies for the protection of indigenous groups and natural health resources and technology from unwarranted exploitation, no? And for approval, of course, and adoption by the appropriate government agencies. And it also seeks to promote traditional and alternative healthcare, not only locally, but also in the international convention, seminars, and meetings, in coordination, of course, with the different government agencies, as well as non-government organizations and local government units. All right. I have included, no, I'm sharing their website if you want to check their website, because they also have other projects. And their office can be located at the East Avenue Medical Center compound, no, in Quezon City. If you need to contact them, they have their contact numbers here in the slide, and also if you want to email, they have, I included their email address. I also would like to share with you their statement, PTAC's statement on the recent controversy about 2-OB or SUOB, or steam inhalation in English. And according to them, 2-OB or SUOB or steam inhalation is part of Filipino culture and traditional health practices, and is one of the most widely used home remedies to relieve the symptoms of colds as part of primary healthcare practice. Diba, recently there was this issue of using SUOB or 2-OB in Cebu for COVID-19 patients. So PTAC has their own statement about 2-OB. No? And according to them, in a third world country where resources are limited and accessibility and availability of healthcare services are areas of concern, traditional and alternative practices are the only affordable and available source of healthcare. That's why in community health nursing also, as future community health nurses, it is imperative that we are familiar, no, we know these alternative modalities, so we can also help the communities we are serving. Okay? Now, based on the TAMA 1997, they have defined traditional and alternative healthcare as the sum total of knowledge, skills, and practices on healthcare other than those embodied in biomedicine. Kasi di ba, biomedicine is the predominant model for practicing health and healing everywhere. So, the traditional and alternative healthcare are other practices, no, on healthcare other than biomedicine, but are also used in the prevention, diagnosis, and elimination of physical or mental disorder. Traditional medicine exists because it is recognized by the people to help maintain and improve their health. And this is part of the definition that TAMA 1997 has also recognized in their definition of terms. No? So traditional medicine basically were passed on from one generation to another and is based on the people's culture, history, heritage, and consciousness. That's why they exist. Now, alternative healthcare modalities that includes reflexology, acupressure, chiropractics, nutritional therapy, and other similar methods are also part of the alternative healthcare modalities recognized by TAMA of 1997. Okay, herbal medicines are defined to be finished labeled medicinal products that contain an active ingredients of plant or other materials or combination thereof, whether in the crude state or as plant preparations. When we talk about plant materials, it includes juices, gums, fatty oils, essential oils, and other substances of that nature. Herbal medicines, however, may contain excipients in addition to the active ingredients. Now, what is an excipient? An excipient is a substance formulated alongside the active ingredient of a medication, which is usually included for the purpose of long-term stabilization or bulking up solid formulations that contain potent active ingredients in small amounts. Thus, they are often referred to as bulking agents, fillers, or diluents. So medicines containing plant materials combined with chemically defined active substances, including chemically defined isolated constituents of plants, are not really considered to be herbal medicines. Okay? Also, in line with the practice of alternative medicines, TAMA of 1997 recognizes traditional healers, which they defined as those who are relatively old, highly respected people within the community who has a profound knowledge of traditional remedies. Okay. PITA also published two encyclopedia of common medicinal plants because there are actually numerous alternative medicines available, according to PITA. In fact, they mentioned that there are around 1,500 medicinal plants identified and classified in our country. But and they are encouraging research undertakings to explore more alternative therapies from these common medicinal plants. Okay, so the first volume they have published, the first volume of the Encyclopedia of Common Medicinal Plants basically covered 30 common medicinal plants, which is a product of the collaboration of experts in the field of botany, pharmacology, and phytochemistry. Okay. The second volume presents the second set of 30 plants that are much valued also by the Philippine communities because of their medicinal value. PITAC also published in 2017 patnubay sa paggamit ng halamang gamot. And they featured 263 halamang gamot, which is a product naman of the collaboration of the different people in the community, which they mentioned as barangay health workers, barangay nutrition scholar, albularyo, curandero, medico, paltera, hilot, parahilot, panilot, manggilot, mangagas, manungbulong, parabulong, mananambaw, mananambal, tambalan, mumbaki, babaylan, baylan, and other names we refer to these people in the community who is taking care of the health of the people. Especially those who cannot afford, of course, the biomedicine. Okay, but out of those 263 and out of those 30 plus 30 in the Encyclopedia of Common Medicinal Plants And out of the 1,500 classified and identified common medicinal plants in our country, we're going to discuss thoroughly only 10. That goes with the mnemonic Santa Lobby. No, Santa Lobby, which pertains to Sambong, Acapulco, Niyog-Niyogan, Chaang Gubat, Ampalaya, Lagundi, Olasimong Bato, Bawang Bayabas, Yerba Buena. Okay, but before we discuss their uses, their indications, and their preparation, let's talk first about some reminders on the use of herbal medicine. So it is suggested to avoid the use of insecticides, as these may leave poison on plants. So when you go to the community and you see people using herbal medicines or planting or growing their own medicinal plants, so remind them not to use insecticides. Okay, and then in the preparation of herbal medicine, we use a clay pot, and remove cover while boiling at low heat. Okay, and also use only the part of the plant being advocated, because not all parts of the plant can be used. So there are only there are suggested parts of the plants. We can use the leaves or the bark, so it would depend on the suggestions by our experts. The next is to follow accurate dose of suggested preparations. Okay, you will learn in your pharmacology also about the dose and the dosage. And these active ingredients that are present in our medicinal plants will also have the same pharmacologic effects, or if not at 100%, but too much again of these preparations might have an adverse effect for our clients. Also, use only one kind of herbal plant for each type of symptoms or sickness. Because again, in your pharmacology, you will be learning about the synergistic effect, or when one chemical or one drug is combined with another drug, so there might be adverse reaction too. Okay. Use only half the dosage prescribed for fresh parts, like leaves, when using dried parts. Okay. And then okay. Why only use half the dosage prescribed for fresh parts when you start using dried parts? Because of course, dried parts of the plants have more concentrated ingredients or active ingredients. That's why when we are using dried parts, we are only using half the dosage. Okay, and then other suggestions would include, or reminders would include, decoctions lose potency after some time. So we dispose decoctions after 1 day. To keep fresh during the day, keep lukewarm also in a flask or in a thermos. Okay, so after a day, it loses potency already. So it's good to prepare another fresh decoction. Another reminder is that leaves, fruits, flowers, or nuts must be mature before harvesting, because there are less medicinal substances that are found on young parts. Okay. Stop giving the herbal medications in case untoward reactions such as allergy occurs. Okay. If signs and symptoms are not relieved after 2 or 3 doses of herbal medication, then we consult a doctor, because again, these alternative medicine do not really aim to replace the treatment modalities, the accepted treatment modalities. So if you notice that it's not being effective, then it's time to consult a doctor. Now let's discuss sambong. Sambong or Blumea balsamifera, no, or um, Ngay camphor or Blumea camphor is a Philippine herbal medicine used to treat kidney stones, wounds and cuts, rheumatism, anti-diarrhea. It also has antispasmodic properties. It's also good for colds and coughs and hypertension. Now, how does it look like? So this is how sambong looks like. Um, Again, it has anti-edema properties. It is also a good diuretic. It is also anti-urolithiasis or kidney stones. No, so how do we prepare? We boil chopped leaves in water for 15 minutes, no, until 1 glassful remains. Okay, then we cool it down and we strain. We divide the decoction into 3 parts and then drink 1 part 3 times a day. Okay, so again, even though it's anti-kidney stones, but sambong is not a medicine for kidney infection. Okay, the next is Acapulco or Cassia alata, a medicinal plant which is also called the ringworm bush or shrub and Acapulco in English. So this Philippine herbal medicine is used to treat tinea infections. No, tinea infections are actually fungal infections. No, scabies is uh, is another um, is another condition also where Acapulco is used. Scabies naman is caused by a mite, no? The Sarcoptes scabiei. And it's Acapulco is also good for itchiness. Now, how does Acapulco looks like? How does it look like? So this is uh, how Acapulco flower and leaves look like. How do we prepare? The fresh, matured leaves of Acapulco are pounded, okay? And then the pounded leaves, no, are applied as a soap to the affected part, no, 1 to 2 times a day, okay? So it's not prepared as a tea. It is used as a soap, no, on the affected part, okay? The next is the niyog-niyogan or the Quisqualis indica L. It's a vine known as the Chinese honeysuckle. It is used to eliminate intestinal parasites. So, yan, ginagamit nilang pangpurga, no, in the community. So this is how it looks like. Also, the seeds, how do we prepare? The seeds of niyog-niyogan are eaten raw 2 hours before the patient's last meal of the day. Okay, so if the patient or the child is to eat at 6 p.m., so the last meal is at 6 p.m., then at 4 o'clock, he or she can eat nyog-nyogan seeds. Okay, adults may take 10 seeds, while children 4 to 7 years of age may eat up to 4 seeds only. And children ages 8 to 9 may take 6 seeds. Okay, and 7 seeds may be eaten by children 10 to 12 years of age. Okay, a reminder, it's not to be given to children below 4 years old. All right. For Chaang Gubat, no, or wild tea, is taken as a tea to treat skin allergies, including eczema, scabies also, and itchiness. And those women, no, who are postpartum, uh, if they experience laceration, so that Chaang Gubat is good for for their wounds. And also it's good for diarrhea and abdominal pain. So how does it look like? So it's like this, no? How do we prepare chaang gubat? We boil the amount of chopped leaves in 2 glasses of water for 15 minutes or until amount of water goes down to 1 glass. And then we cool and strain. No? So that's for diarrhea. And for stomach ache, what we do is to wash leaves and chop these leaves. Then we boil the chopped leaves in 1 glass of water for 15 minutes. And then we cool and filter or strain, with the cheesecloth and then drink. Okay? So how much of the chopped leaves are we going to boil? So 1 cup of chopped leaves. Okay? Ampalaya or Momordica charantia is also called bitter melon or bitter gourd, is a Philippine herbal medicine that has been found to be effective in the treatment of diabetes mellitus. It's also good for hemorrhoids, for coughs, burns, and scald, and is also being studied for its anti-cancer properties. Okay, so I'm sure you're very much familiar with the ampalaya and also its leaves. No? They lower blood sugar level. So how do we prepare? Uh, by the way, for patients with diabetes mellitus, the ampalaya leaves is used for mild non-insulin dependent. Take note, those patients who are not using insulin, they can take the ampalaya decoction. So how do we prepare? Gather and wash young leaves very well. We chop the leaves and then we boil 6 tablespoons in 2 glassfuls of water for 15 minutes. So 6 tablespoons of chopped young leaves of ampalaya boiled in 2 glassfuls of water for 15 minutes under low fire. Again, do not cover pot. And also cool after that. After 15 minutes, we cool and strain. And then we take 1/3 cup 3 times a day after meals. Or we ask or we tell the client to take 1/3 cup 3 times a day after meals. And then lagundi, or the Vitex negundo as its scientific name, which is also known as the 5-leaf chase tree. No, it's a Philippine herbal medicine to treat cough, colds, and fever. It is also used as a relief for asthma, pharyngitis, also for rheumatism, dyspepsia, boils, and diarrhea. And lately, if you have heard the news or watched or read the news about Lagundi, there are some research study conducted right now using Lagundi for COVID-19 patients because it's good for respiratory symptoms. How does it look like? No? So this is Lagundi, another picture of Lagundi. So how do we prepare? For asthma, cough, and fever, boil the chopped raw fruits or leaves in 2 glasses of water. Then leave it for 15 minutes until the water left is only 1 glass. No? So this is the process of decoction. And then we strain the solution. Okay. For dysentery, colds, and pain, we boil a handful of leaves and flowers in water to produce a glass full of decoction. Also, a glass full of decoction. And then we, the client can have that 3 times a day. Okay? For skin diseases like dermatitis, scabies, ulcer, eczema, And wounds, we prepare a decoction of the leaves also. We wash and clean the skin or the wound with the decoction. Okay, so not for drinking, but for washing the wound or cleaning the skin. For headache, we crush the leaves and it can be applied on the forehead. Okay, for rheumatism, sprain, contusions, and insect bites, we pound the leaves and apply on the affected part. All right. The next is the ulasimang bato or the pansit-pansitan or the peperomia pellucida. No, it is a Philippine herbal medicine known for its effectivity in treating arthritis and gout. This is how pansit-pansitan or ulasimang bato looks like. Um, it lowers uric acid. That's why it's good for gout. And then how do we prepare? We wash the leaves well. 1.5 cup leaves are boiled in 2 glassfuls of water over low fire. And we do not cover again the pot. And then we cool and strain and divide it into 3 parts and drink each part 3 times a day. Okay? The ulasimang bato or pansit-pansitan can also be eaten as a salad. So how do we do that? We wash the leaves well, and then we prepare 1.5 cups of leaves, uh, not closely packed together. So, and then we divide into 3 parts and take the salad 3 times a day. I remember eating the ulasimang bato first time when I was in Isabela. No, suddenly, the family I visited, si Inang invited me to gather ulasimang bato in the bukid. So these are very small plants na akala ko damo lang. But when she turned it into a salad, no, with kamatis and suka, and then it's like ensalada, no, and yeah, sibuyas, masarap. So yon. And it's very healthy pala. Bawang is another Philippine herbal medicine, and it has a lot of healing properties. No, it has antibacterial properties, anti-inflammatory, anti-cancer, and anti-hypertensive properties. And it is widely used to reduce cholesterol level in blood. So, syempre, you are familiar with the bawang. No? So, how do we use the bawang? It can be fried, roasted, soaked in vinegar for 30 minutes, or blanched in boiled water for 5 minutes. And then we ask the client to take 2 pieces of the bawang, no, 3 times a day after meals. Okay? Because it's very good for hypertension and it lowers cholesterol levels in blood too. For toothache, we pound a small piece and apply to the affected part. But caution, take note that we take the bawang on full stomach to prevent stomach and intestinal ulcers. Okay. For bayabas, or Psidium guava, or guava in English, no, which is known for its antiseptic, anti-inflammatory, antispasmodic properties. It also has antioxidant, anti-allergy, antimicrobial, antiplasmodial, and uh, properties. It is also anti-cough, anti-diabetic, anti-genotoxic, no, in folkloric medicine, no, according to the elders. It is also hepatoprotective. It protects the liver. Okay. So how do we use bayabas? No, for washing wounds, for toothache, and for diarrhea. Uh, we we use the warm decoction and is used for gargle. The freshly pounded leaves are also used for toothache. The guava leaves are to be washed well and chopped. Then we boil it for 15 minutes at low fire. Do not cover the pot Also, the liquid no can evaporate, leaving the medicinal substances in the clay pot, and then we cool and strain before use. Okay, so of course our guava. I experience how the healing property or the medicinal property of the guava when I took care of my father who had wounds in his both of his legs. No, that has not been healing for quite some time. So I took care in 2 weeks time. No, both of his legs, talagang healed, were healed. So I was really amazed with the decoction of the guava leaves. Okay, Yerba Buena or Mentha cordifelia, which is commonly known as the peppermint, no, is used as analgesic to relieve body aches and pains due to rheumatism and gout. It is also used to treat coughs, colds, and insect bites. So this is our Yerba Buena um, that is used for pain in different parts of the body. No? So yeah. Now, how do we prepare Yerba Buena? For pain in different parts of the body, we boil chopped leaves in 2 glasses of water for 15 minutes. Then we cool and we strain. For rheumatism, arthritis and headache, we crush the fresh leaves and squeeze the sap. Then massage the sap on the painful parts, painful parts of the body, because it has a soothing effect. No, okay. And then for cough and colds, we get about 10 fresh leaves and soak it in a glass of hot water, and then we drink it as tea. It acts as an expectorant. No? So it helps you expel. No, it helps the client expel secretions. For toothache, we cut the fresh plant and squeeze also the sap. No, then we soak a piece of cotton in the sap and insert this in aching tooth cavity. Mouth also should be rinsed by gargling salt solution before inserting the cotton that is soaked in the sap, no, of uh, the squeezed sap of yerba buena. To prepare the salt solution, we add 5 grams of table salt to 1 glass of water. Okay. So medicinal plants, no, can be used by anyone, like as part of a salad, an herbal tea, or a supplement. And many herbalists, both professional and amateur, often grow or wildcraft their own herbs. So tayo rin, we can make our own herbal medicine preparation. But, and you will also discover that it's very cost effective, like what I have experienced with my father. No, ang dami ninyang binili, and also ang mamahal ng kanyang mga lotion, mga ointment, but yeah, 3 times a day of washing both of his legs, cleaning with the decoction. Wow, after 2 weeks, talagang remarkable. No, so it's the herbal medicine preparations are cost effective. It's not only fun but also cost effective. Okay, but of course they may require some degree of skill, and you also need to use your judgment. That's why it's good to know how to prepare it, the dosage. No, okay, and yeah. So how do we prepare the herbal teas? So there are 2 methods of making herbal teas: infusion and decoction. Infusion is steeping lighter parts of the plants like the leaves, the flowers, the light stems in boiled water, for several minutes, like 15 minutes. And decoction is boiling tougher parts such as roots or barks for a longer period of time. Herbal teas are often used as a home remedy, is an alternative to tea and coffee. But then again, remember, that this kind of preparation loses its potency after a day. And after cooling down, it's good to store them in a thermos, or a flask. So as a general rule, unless recommended by a herbalist, we prepare 1 teaspoon of dried herb for every 1 cup of water. Okay, let it steep in boiling water for 10 to 20 minutes. No, so that we can ensure that the medicinal properties are going into the solution. And then we strain the herbs out after 10 to 20 minutes, and then we drink, or we ask the client to drink 3 to 4 times a day. Okay? So yeah. So steeping is soaking in water. Okay? Herbal tinctures. So steeping a medicinal plant in alcohol extracts, no, where the alcohol soluble parts of the plant, no, is into a liquid form that can be stored for long periods. So herbalists may make several herbal tinctures to form an individualized prescription for each patient. Plant tinctures are also the basis for many homeopathic medicines. Now, to prepare the herbal tincture, we will need 8 ounces of finely cut dried herbs, and then 1 large glass jar that can hold 4 cups of liquid, and then 2 cups of vodka. Okay. So next is what we put the dried herb, diba? The 8 ounces uh, of herbs into the glass jar that can hold 4 glasses of water, and then we pour in equal amount of liquid, making sure that the herbs are completely covered or soaked, no? Which is very important. So we store the jar in a cool, dark place for at least 2 weeks, no? And even better if it reaches to 4 weeks. So make sure, but take note that we have to ensure to shake the mixture every day. And when ready to use, we filter the mixture using a cheesecloth bag, a coffee filter, or a fine cloth to capture the tincture liquid below, to capture the tincture liquid. Now, in storing the tincture liquid, now we use another container. And then we store the tincture in clean, dark glass containers out of the sun. So, because the heat of the sun may affect, no, the potency of the tincture. If stored properly, the tincture will be preserved for 2 or more years. Okay? Aside from the alcohol-based tinctures, we can also prepare a vinegar tincture. But take note, unlike with the alcohol-based, the vinegar tincture must be refrigerated. Take note that a drop of tincture is equal to 1 teaspoon of herb juice. So, ganun ka-potent yung tincture. For vinegar tinctures, we use 1 ounce of herb per 5 ounces of vinegar. Okay? We can also have fluid extracts, which are stronger than herbal tinctures and can be made with alcohol or glycerine. Poultices are a solid vegetable fat-based mixture, which is used externally. But they have the shortest lifespan of any herbal remedy and must be made fresh for every use. Powdered herbs and tablets, wherein herbs are dried and sometimes certain parts are separated out, then diced to powder form. Consistency, and this powdered form can be compressed or put in an empty pill coating to form a tablet. Okay. Another way to prepare is the herbal creams and ointments. No, an ointment usually is mixed with beeswax, no, or something similar to make it more applicable to the external part, no, of the body, such as when applying to a cut or a scrape. And of course, we have the essential oils. The extraction of volatile liquid plant materials and other aromatic compounds from plants gives essential oils. And these plant oils may be used internally in some forms of herbal medicine, as well as in aromatherapy. and generally for their perfume. No, although their medicinal use as a natural treatment has proved or has been proven highly efficacious in the treatment of headache and muscle pain, joint pain, and certain skin diseases. Kaya aside from merely using essential oils for aromatherapy, we can also read more no, on their uh, medicinal use no, for headache and muscle pain. Okay, herbal supplements is another way no, to use the common medicinal plants. And these supplements tend to be commercialized products no, in tablet or capsule form, manufactured and marketed by the health food industry for sale in